Very good morning and afternoon or evening to all the finalists. Thank you for joining us for the finals briefing. So just first thing, congratulations for being the top 10 and top 11 for this year's CISS, especially for those of you being able to complete the Borrow Downs challenge. So special mention also to Open Eyes because you were able to complete all the OT challenges in the first 16 hours of the CTF. Yeah, so well done. So the 11 of you will be competing for the in this finals for the top 3 and other prizes given out this year. So just for the agenda for today, we'll be intro to the finals organizing team, the objectives, the details, the scenario, the setup, the network access, your tokens of participation, the road to the finals, and then Q&A. And then lastly, we'll have a short technical information. Yeah, so if you have any questions along the way, feel free to write them down in the box, in the chat box, and then we'll go through them during the Q&A portion. Okay, so this is the finals organizing team. So the event directing is Professor Aditya Mato, Prof. Chen from iTrust, and Colonel Tan Chen Yang from CDG, DIS, Ministry of Defense Singapore. So we have 4 judges, ME6 William Teo, Delaney Ng, Matthias Yeo, and Chong Rong Hua. And we have 2 organizing secretaries, ME4 Benedict Tan and Mark Goh. Yeah, so this is the green team who have set up the infrastructure for you that you'll be playing. So Jonathan Tay, Andrew Tay, R. Anand, myself, Tiger Lim, Teo Shu Kai, Teo Yu Xiang, Jason Koo, and Muhammad Rian. There will also be an IDS analysis team. This was on the side. So it will be led by Ivan Christian, Dr. Raman, Andy Tay, and Naga Siva and To Wen Tao will be the ones helping Ivan in this IDS analysis. So the objectives of CISS 2023 is basically to develop the capabilities for critical infrastructure or CPS, cyber physical systems defense, to validate and assess the effectiveness of technologies or IDS, and to understand any tactics, techniques, and procedures to enhance our operation security. So this year, we have one of the world's largest interconnected industrial-grade critical infrastructure playground. Yeah, so apart from last year, we have added in the gas pipeline, and this year there's an interconnectedness between the electric power, water treatment, and water distribution. Yeah, so this is the rough general details of the final. So please take note of the rough timeline. Later, Jonathan will go through further details into each session. Yeah, so the setup will be from 1st to 11 August. Each team will be given 2 hours. The opening ceremony will be on 17 August on Thursday at 1 p.m. Singapore time. And the finals will be from the 17, 18, 21 to 24th of August, with 4 hours per team during this final session. Yeah, and then the results will be on Monday, 28th of August, 4 p.m. Singapore time. Yeah, so the prizes for the first place is 4,000, second place 2,000, and third place 1,000. Okay, so I'll hand over to Jonathan for the more details of the finals.
Hey all. Right, so this is the scenario for the finals, CISS 2023. So coming forth from stage 1, we have formed the fellowship. And now for the finals, we all know how the story goes. The fellowship is now formed and now they'll set off for the rings unmaking. However, if you know the story of Lord of the Rings, movie 1 at least, on first book, you know that Sauron's machinations forces the fellowship away from the intended routes, away from the Gap of Rohan and the mountain pass of Karadas. So having no choice, they turn to the last resort, the mines of Moria. And thus, Gandalf requests for your help, your aid, as they make their way to the West Gate. Your task is to set up your machines and to conduct forensics of the mines environments from 1st to 11th August. Go. Okay, so from the 1st August to 11th August, we have all these sessions for all you red teams to come in to book. So each session is 2 hours. There's 2 sessions per day, one from 10 to 12. The next is 3 to 5. So this is all based in Singapore time. Using the link that we provided here, you should book your session so that you can secure a slot. One note is Asian teams, you're requested to take morning slots so that we may allow the teams that are in Europe or in Australia and all that to have their time to book their slots, and it's at a time that it's more bearable for them. So in this setup sessions, we will want you to check your VPN connection to the Kali Linux VMs that we have set up for you. So you have 8 team members, so 8 Kali VM machines. So we want you to check your VPN connections. And then from that point off, we want you to install any necessary tools if you need any in the Kali VMs. There'll be internet access given. If there's any support they require from us, please request it from us through Discord or email. Once you are done after the sessions, we will take snapshots for your VMs and only for your VMs. So meaning the 8 Kali VMs, which will be henceforth referred to as the FUA VMs or the form-up area, we only take snapshots for these VMs. Okay, so like I mentioned before, there'll be 8 Kali Linux VMs for 8 members. There'll be 8 CPU cores and 16 RAM assigned for each VM. The IP address that will be allocated in the form of 10 all the way to 80 IP conventions is as above shown, and we'll be giving you internet access. So the VPN profile, the configuration and necessary credentials will be sent to you by email soon after you have booked your session through the link that we provided to you earlier. So you may SSH, VNC or RDP to your Kali VM. So by default, your VPN accounts will be disabled until the start of your session. So 15 minutes before your session starts, we'll enable it. And 5 minutes after your session expires, we'll disable it. So internet bandwidth is estimated about 500 Mbps. It's not the best, but it's good enough. And one more thing, if the red team, your team, requires a custom VM, you have to provide us one. So upload your VMDK or your OVA, or you can export it out as an OVF. Upload it to Google Drive. You have to provide us the link, of course, and you have to provide us the requirements, CPU, RAM, etc. We'll do our best to accommodate your requirements as to these components, CPU and RAM. We'll do our best. But if you can't get the maximum, well, like what I said, we'll try our best. Also ensure whatever tools that you need are already pre-installed. You have to give us the credentials so that we have to configure, so that we can configure your NIC cards. And the deadline for this is Monday, 31st July 2359, Singapore time, of course. Okay, so in this timing from the 1st to 11 August, where this is your recon, your recon and setup time, from 1st to 11 August, we in Rivendell Cyber Center are currently conducting reconnaissance. And by 1st August, we will have conducted enough reconnaissance to provide a data set we've collected from our recon and the info that we have found as well, terrain and whatnot. This link that contains the data set and the info that we found will be sent by email and Discord. This info that we have provided, the data set and info, do what you wish with it. If you don't want to read it, you want to go through it, sure. We recommend you do. So take what you will. Now, so the scenario for the finals execution. So this is after the 1st to 11 August. This is starting from 17th all the way to 24th August. So now that our our heroes, they have gotten past the West Gate. They are in the mines itself. They are currently exploring their ways out of the mines. Then they arrive at the Chamber of Marsupial, where they are ambushed by Sauron's forces, orcs, ogres, whatnot. They're coming to bash our heroes. And so our heroes will battle through the mines, trying to get their way out of the mines. And now what the Fellowship has to do is to do anything and everything that they can to deter Sauron's forces from capturing them and to escape the mines. And thus, Gandalf requests for your aid to complete the objectives, attack objectives on the infrastructure itself of the mines to assist in the fellowship's escape. You have 4 hours before the fellowship is overrun. And what I mentioned before, each session is 4 hours, starting from 9 to 1, and then from 2 to 6. And in the link here, please book your session, your team session, so that you may participate in the finals. And as before, Asian teams are requested to take morning slots. And you are requested to complete as many objectives as possible to secure your place in the top 3 slots. So now I will brief a little bit on the infrastructures that we have. So the first connected infrastructure that we have is the power network. So we have a gas pipeline, a Gurion gas pipeline that supplies gas to the power grid buffer tank. So in this case, in Lord of the Rings, we are saying that the gas pipeline provides miasma from Mordor itself to the power grid tank. And this power grid, the epic power grid, has 2 generators, G1, G2, and a set of Sauron panels, because Sauron's gaze is enough power to function as a power source. And then magic or electricity will be supplied from these generators and the Sauron panels to the mining equipment, which we have designated as the critical load in this power grid, on all conveyance, which is non-critical load, and finally, the water treatment and distributed network. So the water plants will be powered by the power grid of EPIC. Oh, sorry. Next, I'll talk briefly about the water network. So first we had the power network, which is the interconnectivity from gas, EPIC, all the way to the water plants. So now we'll talk briefly about the water network itself. So we have the water treatment and then water distribution. So water treatment, we have water intake will be treated to be drinkable water, in which it will be piped to our water distribution testbed, where it will be distributed further down to individual consumer tanks. So we can see here that we have 6 tanks. The orgs have configured these tanks to be the following: tanks 1 and 2 to supply water to cool the mining equipment in the mines. 3 for sanitation, for whatever kind of sanitation the orgs use, dirty water, I don't know. Then 4, tanks 4, you have all extraction, conveyance, and then finally tanks 5 and 6 for the hydraulic operation of gates and bridges in the mines itself. For this part, about the networks, the IP networks that will be known to you, would you like to take over or continue? Okay, so as of now, that what we have here that we can provide to you at this moment is that they are 4 distinct subnets that you are privy to. You have Gurion's gas pipeline, which is 172.191.0/24. The power grid itself, which is 2 subnets, 172.1.8 and 172.1.6. And then we have water treatment and distribution, which is 192.168.1.0. So water treatment and distribution exists at the same subnet. Yeah. Okay, and for the rules of engagement and the slides further, I'll bring it back to Francisco.
Thank you. So for the rules of engagement during your final session, you'll be provided the Zoom room to join the link, to join the Zoom session. Please dial in early so that we can go through some administrative processes. So recordings will be done for all screens. So once you log into your Kali at FUA, please share your screen and then we'll begin the recording. So the clock will begin once the judges declare start or begin. There's a total of 4 hours. So during your final session, there's no limit to number of enumeration. You can also launch your attacks based on the info that's given from 1st August by the Cyber Center. And once the judges have given the go ahead, then you can launch the attack. The reason being is that if you have launched an attack and completed an objective without the judges knowing that it has happened, it will unlikely be scored. But teams are expected to verify their own objectives. So for example, if you're able to flood a tank, you need to be able to verify it through various means, whether it's through data or through other forms. So for the scoring, this year we have three methodologies. First is your total objective score. So on 1st August, the storyline with the objectives will be given to you. And so the team that completes the most number of objectives and total together with all the scores will get the top 3 winners. We have other 2 prizes. First is most stealthy and undetectable. So this is based on signature-based IDS and the total packets generated based on net flow. Yeah, and the next is the most novel attack. So you're also given opportunities to conduct your own attacks outside of the objectives. And so if you're able to design an attack that fits the storyline and is also of some difficulty, not like a DDoS, yeah, or just a DOS, yeah, then you'll be given the most novel attack prize. Yeah, so this is the general road to the finals. So 31st July is the customized VM deadline. Then your setup sessions from 1st August to 11th of August for your forensics and setup sessions. And then the CISS finals opening is at 1 p.m. on 17 August. And then the individual sessions all the way up to 24th of August. And then the results will be on the 28th of August. Okay, so the token of participation. So this year, each team member will be getting their red team polo tee. We'll send it to you. And if you can, please wear it. Then we can take a photo during your session or before your session. There'll also be the medal coin for the top 3 teams and for those who win the most stealthy and most novel attack. And these items will also be delivered to you. Yeah, so keep calm and cyber exercise till end of August. Yeah, so now we open the time for questions. If you want to unmute your mic, you may do so also. Well, we all know what happens to Gandalf if you know the story. There's a question whether we can share the PowerPoint and the recording. Yes, so after this session, we will put the slides into a PDF, and this recording will be uploaded to our website. And then we'll send you the team leads the link so you can review it and read it in further detail. You can wait a while more if there's any other questions, especially teams who this may be your first time in the finals. So during the setup, you won't get access to the targets, but you'll be able to install any tools necessary. Yeah, the forensics, it will be in the form of data sets. It could be PCAPs, it could be historian data files. But something for you to be able to identify what may be the targets during your finals phase. But you're not just given the 2 hours. You can take back the data sets, download it into your own laptop or desktop and do the forensics during that period. The 2 hours is just meant for the Kali setup. So if you want to install personal or customized tools, or you want to I don't know, set up Cobalt Strike, etc., you can do so at those times. Yes, so on the 1st of August, you will get the list of the scenario, the storyline, which has some, it's not explicit to what the objectives will be, but you get an idea of what you need to achieve together with the data sets that has the network details. So a question from Mukesh. After the setup is done, will the access to the VMs be still active before the start of the finals, or will we be able to log in only after the finals have started? So during the setup session, you have access to it, install anything and everything that you want. At the end of your session, we will take a snapshot and shut it down. And then 20 minutes before your session, we will boot it up again. Then you can log in again during your final session to use it. Yeah, so in the case that maybe during the final something happens, if you need to revert to the base installation, we are able to do so. Okay. If there's all the questions, we'll go into some technical information of the just some general detail into the physical processes. So first is the gas pipeline. So this is a 4-stage gas pipeline starting from 2 gas wells. Yeah, so gas well 1 is by default selected. A gas then flows through a 3-stage compressor. So compressor 1 will compress the gas, then cooler 1, compressor 2, cooler 2, compressor 3, cooler 3. At the end of this 3-stage compressor, it goes through the pipeline and it goes through across 62 miles all the way from Mordor to the mines. Yeah, and then finally, we have another compressor to boost the gas, and then the cooler, where we have 1 is the residential and 2 is the industry. Okay, then we have the power grid. Yeah, so the gas that comes in will have a storage tank here to power up the 2 motors. So we have motor 1 and motor 2 that spins up generator 1 and generator 2. These generators then are connected to the microgrid together with the solar panel. So PV stands for solar and EV stands for the battery system. Yeah, all these 4 are connected to the grid to supply power. And then we have the transmission line and we have the 3 loads. Yeah, so you have non-critical load, which is the conveyance, the water test beds, and the critical load, which is the mining equipment. This Q34 and M3 and G3 are not in play for the finals. Yeah, so it's only just from generation to microgrid, transmission, and smart home. The water treatment process is a 6-stage process, starting from stage 1 with the raw water. So water comes in to fill in the tank. Then we have the pump to push water to stage 3. In between, there is a chemical process, a chemical dosing. So we have sodium chloride, hydrochloric acid, and sodium hypochlorite. Yeah, and based on the chemical properties of the water that comes through. And then it will be stored in tank 3. This in stage 3 is a UF process. So the pump pushes out water up the UF membrane and then pushing it to the RO feed tank or tank 4. Yeah, so every half an hour, there's a backwash process that happens. So water from the backwash tank will push down the water out of the membrane because the membrane will collect any sediments, and so the membrane will get choked up after a while. So this happens averagely on about half an hour, or if there's a differential pressure that's too high. Next, we have the next stage from tank 4 all the way to tank 6 is considered one big process. So first in stage 4, the water is pushed out through the pump through a UV dechlorinator. This is to destroy the chlorine. And if there's still free chlorine roaming around, sodium hydrosulfate will be injected into the water. It will then go through a filter, and then the reverse osmosis process will take place where we have a variable speed pump to push the water through a 3-channel RO vessels. So it goes through at least 2, minimum 1. Yeah. So the clean water that passes through the RO membranes is called the RO permeate, and those that are rejected will come out through the reject. So if the water is clean, it will go into the RO permeate membrane. If the water is dirty, it will go through the backwash valve to the backwash tank. Please note that this CIP tank is not in play. Yeah, so there is no CIP cleaning. The permeate will just go through the RO permeate tank. Now this water in the RO permeate tank will then be pushed over to the water distribution stage, water distribution process. So now the water will come into these raw water tanks. Depending on the water quality, these 2 chemicals will be injected, ammonia and sodium hydrochloride. Yes. Yeah. It'll be stored in the raw water tanks. Then we have 2 raw water transfer tanks to push it to these elevated reservoirs. Yeah, so elevated reservoirs, they are there because there are 2 ways in which water is generally distributed. First is through gravity. And so that is going through this valve, 2MV005. And if the gravity is not able to meet the demands of the consumers, the booster pumps will turn on to push water into the consumer area. Yeah, so each tank, depending on the demands that are required by the various equipments, have their own demand. And the valves will change depending on the water that is coming in. Once the water is consumed, or once the consumer tank reaches a high, the valve will open so that the water can be drained out into the return water. Okay, and then this water will go back into the treatment process. And that's all. Yes, so this is all the physical processes that are interconnected. On 1st of August, there will be, hopefully, Rivendell Cyber Center will reveal some greater detail into these processes so that you're able to complete your objectives. Okay, we open maybe 5 more minutes. If there's any other questions, then we can end this meeting. Also, feel free, if after this meeting you have any other questions, you can email cyberx@sutd.edu.sg, or you can PM Gandalf on Discord. Someone will answer. So there's a question whether one team can book multiple sessions. No, so each team is only given one setup session and one final session. So each team has a total of 6 hours, 2 hours to install their tools, and 4 hours to complete their objectives. Yeah, so please book one. If you see 2, we will cancel one. There should be enough slots for everyone, for at least every team to have their own individual slot. Okay, so if there's no other questions, thank you. Feel free to ask over through email or through Discord. Yeah, we'll reply you and assist you in your setup. And so anytime from now until your setup session or until your finals, if you have any questions, please ask so that we're able to assist you to your machines or to your setup. And there's a question, can one team have multiple VMs? Yeah, so each team is given the 8 VMs, 1 per team member, so that you are able to do concurrent activities. Each with, let me find the slide. Yeah, you're given 8 Kali VMs, 2023.1 with 8 cores, like 16 GB RAM and pseudo writes. So if you have a team of 4, then you can use 2. There's a question from Stanislav. Is there a clean Kali? Yes, it's just downloaded from Kali, installed, nothing extra that we have done. If you want, so question from Stanislav, if we upload our own version, can we get 8 copies of that? Yes. So this is in the custom VM or the request. If you want to have your own VMs, you can send it to us. They will make 8 copies of that so that you have the required systems and tools that you require. I know some people prefer Commando VM, etc. So it depends on what you prefer to use. Feel free. And just give it to us early so we can set it up for you before your setup session. If you give it to us last minute, it takes a while to put it inside the hypervisor and get everything ready for you. Okay, thank you very much for joining the session. We will upload the VM language set to English. Yeah, so for the request from Jonathan and the engineers is please set if you're sending a customized VM, please set the language to English so that we can help do the settings. Then once you come in for a session, you can set it back to any other language that you prefer. Yeah, so yeah, do let us know. Yeah, otherwise, thank you. Then we'll see you for the setup session and pass you your VPN credentials as soon as possible. Thank you.